Our next amazing guest is a fabulous mix of intellect, candor, and individuality.
I was against Adar being utilized.
What sets him apart is that he does not conform easily,
And then I realized, look, here I'm stuck.
whether in thoughts, in personality, or how he speaks about law and life.
Wow, they are like this.
His philosophy is that law demands nuance over ideology,
I keep having a lot of conflict on that.
and that one's personality, even when sharp-edged,
I bolt to the court and I exit.
need not be hidden.
So what?
He embodies what it means to be unfiltered and unapologetically himself. Advocate Gopal Sankaranarayanan.
Thanks,
Welcome,
Sanya. That's a lovely introduction. I think you've caught nuance even in that. Thank you.
You were always, termed cool amongst the youngsters. Of course, you have a great body of work. That doesn't take that away. Everybody is the protagonist of their own lives usually. So do you have a specific hero or a couple of heroes that you followed?
The journey, which has been more than 2 decades long, has been one where, unlike other professions, we congregate. So every day we're meeting each other, every day we're meeting new people, missing some old ones. And I think as you grow, you begin to realize that many of the things you took as virtues perhaps weren't virtues, right? One of those initial lessons I think I learned, which we always wonder at the bar. We are always told that reputation above everything else when you're a litigating lawyer.
Yes.
And in many years, I used to hear that a lot, right? Especially when we were working in Mr. Venugopal's chambers where I started. And a formidable reputation, a great man, very, very ethical, very hardworking, very innovative. He was my first hero, and I was fortunate enough to get to join him, to work with him, and to assist him in many matters. Many cases and many other things that he did outside of court work when a wrong is being done. Because sometimes when you speak up about something that's wrong, that's happening, you may find a lot of people trying to pull you down and attacking you, and your reputation takes a beating. But for me, I began to realize more and more that character is way more important than perhaps just having a good reputation and being a good boy and not taking a position on things. I was, when I was much younger, as most of us are, I think I was idealistic, and therefore I would take strong positions on things. I tried to mute that somewhere in between for a while because I thought, best to be safe than sorry. And then I think it's a latent part of me that keeps coming out, which is that I want to speak up about stuff. I want to express myself if there is something that I think is wrong. Now, my own expression may be wrong, right? The way I react to something, the kind of words I might employ, but it's not coming from a wrong place. I genuinely believe it when I say it.
Okay.
And I think we should appreciate that in others. Even if you disagree with their views, you must appreciate that there is a reason and perhaps a place, and you must not always doubt that motive from which it's coming. I think one of the early examples of this was when I wrote about Justice Kabir's last day as Chief Justice, where there were some reservations about a judgment that was being delivered. And it became hugely controversial. It was on the front page of the Times of India, etc. And many people called and well-wishers and said, why are you doing this? Why are you writing about it? You shouldn't. You're doing well in the profession. You're young. You shouldn't talk about it. And I think that made me realize that somewhere in my core, I didn't feel I did wrong, right? So I was willing to take the brickbats that came with it. And all this is building up to who I believe are my heroes who have allowed me to remain centered. So, of course, Mr. Venugopal, throughout he's been a great anchor and a pillar for both me and my wife Haripriya. We were in the same chambers. Mr. Raju Ramachandran, Mr. Chandar Uday Singh, who I treat as an elder brother, Mr. Vishwanathan, another person I treat as an elder brother, now Justice Vishwanathan. I'm very close, so I don't appear in his court. And I think another person who we are not that close, but who I admire for his integrity, his character, the way he presents himself, is Shyam Devan. Shyam, in fact, had come to my college when I was a student, and he taught us. And of course, we were all gobsmacked. Half my class were girls, so they were quite enamored by this very good-looking, very smart, very articulate young lawyer who had come down from Bombay, and he was talking to us about the oleum gas leak and environmental law and stuff. But so were we, all of us. We were all gobsmacked that, he's done such a great job and he's at the heart of this. And he just written the first edition with Arun Rosenkrantz on their book on environmental law and policy in India. Another man I greatly admire. And one of my heroes, it sounds cloyingly...
Someone outside of the law, perhaps?
No, there is. Within the law, there's one last person. We're cloyingly odd, but it's my wife. Whenever I have difficult questions which are ethical, or I feel there's like a moral balance that has to be drawn, she's the first person I turn to and I say, what should I do in this kind of situation? Should I take it? Should I not take it? Outside the law, loads of heroes. It depends on what it is. Like, because I love sports. I love the way Lionel Messi has played football. He's been a great example for people across the country. I love the way Virat Kohli behaves with his wife. And for me, it's important when big icons like that respect women and show them as exemplars and make them important. I think it's important for the toxic masculinity in this country. You become an icon. People are emulating you, and it's.
But it could be a projection also.
It could be. I don't know. I don't know. But
let's talk about it, gossip about it.
All I can say is aspects of people's personalities can appeal to you,
yes,
which you believe is worthy of emulation, of duplication, of perhaps impersonation in some way,
yes,
if it makes life better for people around you.
You said that, there is a certain sense of idealism that you were into initially, and then you steered away from it.
What I meant is you'd see things as black and white when you're younger, I feel,
yes,
right? You have very clear ideas of this is right, that is wrong, etc. And I steered away from it because the more I studied as a lawyer, especially, and more you see circumstances unraveling around you, you begin to realize that there are lots of grays which you can't always club as black or white. Even in your personal lives, you may decide, look, I'll never do this, and then you come to a stage where that compromise is inevitable and you do it. And then you begin to realize, look, younger you was taking everything as black and white.
Yes.
And it's not that simple. So I think it's with greater learning that you begin to realize bit by bit that actually you don't know as much as you think you did.
You also said that you wrote an article when you were much younger about Justice Kabir's judgment. How old were you at the time when you...
I must have been in my early 30s.
Oh. So, and you also got designated at 41. So, I mean, you took that risk in a way.
Yeah, but to be honest, I wasn't thinking about designation and things like that. Those were not even like thoughts in my mind. I still am not extremely practical. So I'm not always looking at a goal when I do something. I just do it. Right? If I feel it's the right thing, I do it. And then very often it comes to bite me in the derriere, as it were.
Right. And do you see yourself as political?
I hope not. I sincerely hope not. I have much, like I said, because I believe in nuance, I have much dislike in all political parties and all leaders, without exception. There's not a single one I would hold up and say is an exemplar and is worth emulating. So I won't have heroes from the political space.
But that then applies to everybody, na? Even in the profession for that matter.
It does, but because once again, I don't have the kind of antipathy towards other professions as I have towards politics.
Really?
Yes.
Why is that?
I think it's proof that we have 75 years on from when our Constitution came in, and how its values are disparaged and diluted and denigrated on a daily basis by all political parties. None of them care. None of the political parties care about the values of the Constitution. When they are in power, they will use it to their ends. And when they're out of power, the guy who comes in says, oh my God, you have improved our playbook. You've shown me new ways in which to distort the Constitution. Right? So, no other profession has that kind of control over the implementation of constitutional values. And the fact that if you go to any kind of so-called third world country, you'll find better infrastructure, better healthcare, better education, virtually anywhere else, I think is evidence of that. And this is all, in my view, to a large extent because governments have allowed it to happen.
So you would call yourself neutral then, when it comes to politics?
If you call having an antipathy towards all political parties neutral, yes, that's what it is.
But you know, when you're looking at law and when you're looking at the Constitution, when you're trying to interpret things and you're trying to argue for people, yes, nuance is required, but you do tend to have or take some side sometimes because they are both such intertwined things.
I agree. I agree. So, issue-wise, I will take a position. Now, my position is not motivated by the political party.
Right.
It may result in helping a political party or a particular government, etc. It may do that, right? Like in Aadhaar, I was appearing for the Center for Civil Society, supporting the Aadhaar program. Right? But I was against Aadhaar being utilized and put across the board as an obligation for citizens to get.
Yes.
That the government is entitled to insist that you're taking my money, I want to make sure you are you.
Right.
So, for me, that was one of those cases. Like hundreds of constitutional cases, you will be eventually, consequently, supporting one government or one political party or
as a lawyer.
But that's a consequence of what you do.
Yes.
It's not the reason why you do it, right?
Very difficult to make that segregation for everybody.
It is.
Even in the law.
Of course, yeah.
Because the way I see it, sometimes, yes, nuance is important, but ideology does take precedence sometimes. Even when even if I was a lawyer for that matter, I'm just speaking out loud.
Yeah.
So it is very difficult. How do you make that segregation? Is that anything specific you have to do to train your mind to be able to do that? Over time it happens? What do you do?
I'll give you an example on this. For me, the ideology doesn't flow from what these guys yell out from their munches. For me, it comes from the Constitution. So my ideology is the constitutional ideology. What I believe is the constitutional ideology and ethos, right? So the Constitution, for example, allows you to be propagating a religion. It allows you not to propagate a religion, to be an atheist. It allows all of that, right? So for you to then blow up fireworks during Diwali by saying this is an integral part of my religion, I think you're affecting Article 21 rights of people who have to breathe the smoke that comes from fireworks, people who have to clean up the garbage that has been used after that, the noise that is caused, animals who have been hurt, little children who have had to make the fireworks, sitting in Shivkasi in small little tenements. Now, for me, therefore, it's important for us to recognize that constitutional balance that is sought to be achieved by an Article 21 right taking precedence over this so-called claim that it is a religious tenet. I have equally appeared on behalf of temples in Tamil Nadu against the Tamil Nadu government because they have taken gold bricks which are sitting in the temples in the temple coffers, and the government has taken the gold and melted it down and said like that, look, the money from this we will give you the money equivalent. My point is, you have no business. It belongs to that faith and their temple. They have kept it inside. Government has no business to touch it.
Yes.
Right? Now, I have received brickbats from both sides all the time.
Yes,
because I take positions on these based on what I believe is the constitutional value.
Okay.
Right? So, I think it is possible for me to take both positions. If somebody decided to put their hand into the till of a mosque and take money from me, I would stand up for the mosque and for the church. You have said that you're not going to have state religion. You have said that you're going to be secular. You have said that people have the right to propagate in the way they do.
Okay.
So you shouldn't have all these laws which you have across states in the south and in Orissa, where you have Devaswam boards and you have an executive chairman and they will run the temples and they will decide who will be appointed. This is not your business, yeah. Get your handle what you're supposed to do.
You just said that you've faced a lot of criticism.
Yeah.
Especially, you've spoken in the past also about how you faced criticism when you were arguing the Sabarimala case.
Yes, yes.
And you said that it was because I was on the side of the deity. In the sense that you were okay with women not being allowed entry into the temple. You faced criticism for it because you were on the other side. I think that's what you specifically said.
Yes.
I'm not sure.
Yes. Not the deity specifically.
Yeah.
I was appearing on behalf of some devotees of Sabarimala who said that, look, this is our faith that we have had in the Sabarimala temple for years. Now, Sabarimala, you must understand, is unlike many temples in Kerala. in the Guruvayur temple, which is very famous in Kerala, the presiding deity is Krishna. And Yesudas, who is one of the great singers from Kerala, many national awards, etc., is famous for singing paeans to Krishna. Yesudas himself is a Christian. He is not allowed entry into the temple whose deity's songs he has made famous. It's that strict. Sabarimala is not purely limited to Hindus. You can be a Muslim, you can be a Christian, you can go to Sabarimala.
Yeah.
If you are allowing Muslims, Christians, Hindus to enter that temple, to treat it as a pure Hindu temple, to create a bunch of rules by the Kerala government to govern the entry into temples and to say that that applies to Sabarimala may be problematic at a legal plane, right? Because this is not a Hindu temple. It is a temple which belongs to a denomination that believes in Lord Ayyappa. They themselves call themselves Ayyappas. They become the embodiment of Ayyappa when they go up the hill and they follow the faith. Muslims, Christians, Hindus, whoever they are. You know, it's very easy in this fairly binary world to try to club people, right?
Yes.
अच्छा ये मोदी वाला है, ये राहुल गांधी वाला है, ये मुलायम के साथ है, etc. Therefore, they need a label. Society needs a label. So when you're practicing at the bar, they want to label you as something, right?
And it's growing now. The polarization.
It is. Polarization is growing. I just hope our political leaders would just reach across the breach and possibly play a game of badminton together, so everybody knows that it's not
I think
animosity.
they already do.
I haven't seen, I just wish they would make people understand that, look, it's not animosity and venomous as you make it out to be. We have to humanize these things. You have to reach across the breach and say, we have completely different political ideologies. I don't agree with the thing he says, right? But I don't doubt each other's motives to work for this country. I think it's a healthy way to start and move forward. But unfortunately, I don't see that happening, not in this climate. So even at the bar, when you have to bear labels, unfortunately, I get labeled because the kind of work I do as doing work for civil society, or work for the environment, and work for reform, and being fairly consistently anti-central government.
Yes.
Even when the Congress 2 terms and this NDA 3 terms, many issues where you challenge central statutes, challenge central programs or central laws, etc. You're seen as, okay, he's a guy who is going up against government quite a bit. So when you fall in that label and then suddenly you're supporting what they think is a temple or a Hindu ideology, there's a confusion there. And so the people who thought you belonged to them suddenly are asking you, what the hell, what are you doing? Right?
Yes.
And I find it hard to explain because I don't think enough people read the Constitution well enough to understand what its values are.
I see that you probably a centrist. There you don't tilt either way.
I don't know what that means really, because very often you may take a position which is aligned to the right, then another one which is aligned to the left.
Yeah.
Does that make you a centrist, or does it make you a nomad? You're displaced. You don't know where you are. You're just going all over the place wherever.
Well, nomads don't live in structures, so
Yeah. So maybe I am that.
Probably
Maybe
a
I'm the
centrist
eternal advocate nomad.
you don't originally belong to Delhi, do you?
No, not at all. I'm born and brought up in Bangalore. I'm a Mallu, born and brought up in Bangalore. My mom and dad are both Mallus. And he was in the civil services. She had done a law but didn't really practice. I was at Bishop Cotton School in Bangalore, which is still very close to me and close to my heart. I did 11th and 12th here because my dad was posted here. But that's it. Then I went back and did law in Bangalore. So I am really a Bangalore boy. That's what I call myself. I hear over the last, I think, 5-10 years, I've heard a lot of this first generation lawyer. People wear that as a badge of pride and say, look, I'm a first generation lawyer. So what? I feel that too much is made of that, and I'll tell you why. Because when you go out as a Delhi citizen, with your parents here, home here, doctors, people in Delhi, and you've grown up in Delhi, it's a massive advantage. To say that I'm a first generation lawyer, it's much tougher, let me tell you, when you come from outside. Now, I came as a first generation lawyer from outside, but imagine that I came as a second generation lawyer from outside.
Okay.
Imagine that my dad is a Mufassal lawyer somewhere in Tamil Nadu or Bengal, right? The idea that because I'm a second generation lawyer, I'll have some huge advantage in Delhi is completely misplaced. 90% of landlords in
Because-
Delhi will not give you a flat to stay in.
Yeah, and Delhi works on connections. Na? That's
Correct.
what they're trying to
That's-
say. That it's about
No,
connection.
but if you are a first generation Delhi person,
Yeah.
you already have your connections in place in whatever industry you are.
Not necessarily.
Not necessarily, but you would have better connections than a complete outsider who's coming to Delhi for the first time.
Perhaps. I mean, a
Would-
connection with
If
a...
Mukesh Ambani's son did law, would we call him a first generation lawyer? I'm asking you. I have
Well,
big industrialist
well-
children telling me we are first generation
Well,
lawyers.
you are
I'm like,
going
please
to the
don't say
far
this.
extreme.
Because we have to test
Let's talk
these.
about normal people.
No, you have to test these notions on extremes. I strongly believe one shouldn't give yourselves prepared excuses at the threshold. Don't do that, right? Some of the best lawyers I've met are first generation lawyers, and they've done so well for themselves. Not because they suddenly married into a family which gave them a connection, but because people were impressed at the bar and on the bench. They're impressed with their work and they've encouraged them and they've motivated them. So the number of mentors that first generation lawyers get and recognition they get is not something you can reckon by using the word generation. I feel that it's something that we should try and eschew. It is a problem and it's going to be a problem in every profession. You're going to have a certain quantity of nepotism, etc. But for you to label yourself and give yourself, a way out and excuse in case I don't do well, oh, I was a first generation, it wasn't going to work for me. Don't say that.
Well, of course, that will tilt to the idea of victimhood, na? Then that is a separate issue.
Yeah. So I worry that that's the direction it takes. My worry is that.
Yeah, perhaps sometimes. A lot of people write it on their LinkedIn profiles also.
Yeah, they do. They talk about it more and more, and
Yeah.
I don't know.
And I mean, it's the
Each his
opposite
own.
end also. Fourth generation law is also something I've seen on someone's LinkedIn profile. So that's like a badge of honor as well. So there are all
I don't
kinds
think
people.
either of them are badges of honor. I don't think you should worry about who your parents were and what they did, etc.
Yeah.
Just do what you have to do. Do well, you'll make it.
But in the real world, it matters.
Yeah, but you don't have to advertise.
Right. Well, the world is not an ideal place. I think.
No,
I'd
it's
like
not.
to
It's not. It's
repeat
just
that.
it's a view I have.
I want to talk about this statue also. That is that what
It's
we
an
call it?
inside joke.
Yeah.
My wife Haripriya, also senior advocate.
Yeah.
We have, ever since we were in Mr. Venugopal's chambers, we have clashed on almost everything. We have many common values, but different views on law and interpretation and this and that. So somebody had gifted this to me, and then I was in the airport. There's this chap who makes these based on different professions. So he had gifted this to me, some friend of mine, and I had this in the office. And then it struck me that when I was in the airport, I think it was Bombay, which has these creations. There was one this size. I deliberately got a small one because I remember this hand pointing down. And this is my inside joke to Haripriya that I'm going to come and keep this here so that when people see it, they will see this is me, this is her. This is making fun of her. But it's also possibly an allegory about our times that the way, like you said, it's a boys' club. Men dominate the profession, men promote men. Equally, I don't think, this is my view, I don't think women do enough to promote women. More often than not, women will be happy to go and brief a male counsel and not a female counsel. I think it's absolutely disgraceful.
Because it's instinctive. It is so instinctive, and that bias has been going on for very long. It's not something people are aware of. They do it unconsciously.
I agree.
Yeah.
So I think the more we talk about it, they become conscious of
Yes,
that, and they
perhaps.
possibly can change and alter their ways.
Of myself.
Yeah.
I don't want to say it, but it's a fact. I was in a flight and I saw a female pilot. And there's a perception that women don't know how to drive and fly, and I'm generally very scared of flying.
Okay.
So I immediately was more scared that,
Yeah.
oh, this is a woman, will she be able to handle it?
Yeah.
That question popped in my mind. So the fact is that it is there, that instinctive bias. How do you really get rid
So
of it?
I'll tell you, funnily, I had the exact opposite experience. I was on a flight, woman pilot. It was a large double aisle aircraft, and I thought to myself, oh, thank God. And I'll tell you why. In my experience, I found women are more methodical, they are more organized, they are more reliable, and there's less shusha about them. This is broad. It's not about individuals, broad. So they won't pretend too much to know something that they don't know. They won't pretend, right? While equivalent guy, normally he'll just want to be cool and swish and click few buttons and think it's okay.
Yes.
So the minute I knew it's a woman pilot, I was like, okay, I'm in safe hands. She's going to go by the book. She's going to make sure tuck, 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 everything is done. She's going to check it a second time, tuck, tuck, tuck. So I actually would have more faith in a woman pilot.
Wonderful. That's so good to hear.
No, so I was coming to that. I was saying, therefore, in our profession,
Yes.
I find it an absolute disgrace. Disgrace, that's the word I will use, that the Supreme Court of India has only one woman judge today. It should never have come to this. It is shocking, and all the collegium judges responsible for this must look in the mirror and try and figure out why this has happened.
But this is a big debate that you've opened up. And gender versus merit is something that I often struggle to figure out in my own mind. So the question I probably want to put to you is, gender representation at the cost of merit or not? How do you balance that? How do you really figure that out? Because legal acumen and gender, how do they collide, coincide? Are they supposed to when you're choosing judges on the bench?
See, the normal response that the collegium members will give you is the fact that, "Arey, kahan hai women judges Supreme Court mein le aane ke liye?"
CJ Bobde had said this back.
Yeah, they will all say this. I wrote about it then as well when CJ Bobde said that.
Yes, you did.
Yeah, I wrote about it then. Because let's not have, I believe this is a cop-out, it's an excuse. When you wanted, you got guys who were fourth senior most in a high court, you brought them to the Supreme Court, and you ensured they were directly made Supreme Court judges without them ever having been Chief Justice, 150th in All India seniority, etc. Okay. You did that, right? Repeatedly, not once, many times. The guys who've never been chiefs anywhere have come to the Supreme Court. So you couldn't find in the entire assemblage of women judges across the country, you couldn't find one or two you could have brought. This is an excuse. It's a cop-out. I don't want any of these collegium judges to think it's okay to say this. Okay. It's not okay to say this. There are enough and more meritorious judges who are available across the country at various levels, who are meritorious, who have integrity, who tick all the right boxes, right? They may not tick the government's boxes perhaps, and therefore because you're doing a trade-off, you may not want to bring them. That's a different matter. But I'm saying there are enough. I can assure you there are enough. I've appeared before them. There are enough.
I'm sure.
The question is whether you have the will to bring them. Second, you don't have to bring only judges. There are practicing women lawyers. You brought Indu Malhotra, who was practicing in the Supreme Court. You have practicing women senior advocates, both in the Supreme Court and in high courts across the country. Are you telling me we don't have merit anywhere? You designated them as seniors, right? So obviously there is a large enough pool of people that you could bring.
Yes.
So while it's being thrown out as a statistic, oh, we don't have enough merit, that's false. It's not true at all. There are enough and more meritorious women that you can bring, and it's not a quota issue. It's a question. It's a question of an ideology beginning to take root that only men can do this, or men can do this better. From what I've seen, like I said, for the exact same reasons that the woman pilot is somebody I'll rely on, I would rely on a woman judge to largely, I have found women judges who are not great either, right? But you're going to find much more of that among the men.
Yes, because they're more in number perhaps. That's
exactly. So I think it's necessary for us to consciously understand that this argument is a false argument.
I also want to quickly now ask you about your extracurricular activities. Of course, you are into sports. I read about that. What kind of sports do you play? How do you find the time? You are somebody who's very nuanced, who's very balanced, but does that apply in your life as well? Because you do have an established practice, you're a senior lawyer. How do you figure things out? How do you unwind? Do you get the time to do that?
I keep having a lot of conflict on that. I don't get the kind of time that I want and I'd like to have, because I have to do justice by my brief and by the client who depends on me and the awards who depend on me. And at the same time, I have 3 little kids at home, 15, 13, 10. and I want to spend time with them, hang with them. It's a growing years. So that's why home is not very far away from office, and I spend quite a bit of time at home before I come to office in the evenings. I try to find space for sport because I'm not one of those, go to gym and lift weights kind of guy. I prefer to actually play something, engage with people, etc. So I love playing cricket. I continue playing. We have a Supreme Court team that I'm part of, and I've been fortunate enough to play with them. We went to London over the summer and we played a couple of matches against the Indian Gymkhana there. We won one, we lost one, if anybody's asking. When I was younger and I was fitter, I would play hockey a lot. I play badminton, tennis, pickleball. I tried paddle once 2 months ago. I find it just very silly game. But anything to get out and play, I love golf. So
a lot of intelligent people like to play more sports instead of going to the gym and stuff.
Really?
I don't know, it's just an assumption.
I'm taking that as a compliment.
A lot of, they do that a lot. I don't like the sports space a lot, even though I've played myself when I was younger.
What did you play?
Basketball.
Oh wow.
I've played at the national level, but then of course,
fantastic.
Things panned out differently.
You should try and find time to play. There's nothing like sport. Yeah.
It's a lot of effort to play sports. It takes a lot of you. So yes.
But I always feel sport it changes you as a person.
Yeah.
It teaches you what Justice Narasimha's favorite concept, which is also mine from the Constitution, is fraternity.
Yes.
Which is the underpinning of everything in the Constitution, whether it's justice, or liberty, or equality. It all emanates from fraternity. We look at these as values outside of ourselves and say that, oh, the government needs to do this, the court needs to do this, somebody else needs to do this, without realizing on a daily basis we are also being unjust or unfair or being illiberal or not giving somebody free speech or free rights, because every one of us has to have those values. And at the root of it is fraternity, understanding that, we must take other people along with us.
You've said in the past that an argument will never make you cry, but goal would.
Sporting events.
I know that something had happened between you and a judge of the Supreme Court. I think it was Justice Arun Mishra.
Yeah.
You were newly designated at the time.
Yeah.
And you rushed, or you walked out of the court. You had a bit of an argument with him.
Yeah. So it was a land acquisition case, Constitution bench, 5 judges. Justice Mishra was presiding. Shyam Diwan and I had argued first that Justice Mishra should recuse himself because he had delivered a verdict referring this matter to a larger bench, and he had there said that some other judgment that would bind him was per incuriam. Now, it's been always said that this is judicial indiscipline for judges to overrule judgments of concurring benches, but he had done that. So, because he had done that, I took the argument in front of him that, look, now you are guilty of judicial indiscipline and you have to adjudicate this issue on which I am making an allegation that you are guilty of judicial indiscipline. So, it's unfair for you to be hearing it yourself. You will be a judge in your own cause effectively. Now, the other judges didn't say anything on this. He rejected that and said, no, I will hear the matter. After which the main case came up. Now, when the main case came up, I suspect that he realized that Shyam Diwan is not going to take anything from him. So, when I got my turn to argue, he started being, I think, quite obnoxious, if that's the word I could use, directly at me. The other judge didn't say anything, but he kept trying to attack me and getting personal and telling me, you're repeating yourself, don't say that, you can't say that, you can't mention a judge's name in a judgment you're citing, and other weird stuff like that.
Okay.
And eventually he said, one more word out of you and we will hold you in contempt and we will send you to jail. So I froze, and then I realized, look, here I'm stuck. If I say anything, I will be held in contempt and he's going to decide on his own. So rather than embarrass the court into coming to a position where they have to do stuff like this to a practitioner who they've just recognized as a senior advocate, I decided I'll do the graceful thing and I'll exit. So I closed my papers, I bowed to the court and I exited. This became a big thing because they had not anticipated this. I personally was quite anguished and pained about the conduct of the other 4 judges who were on that bench, right? Because they all kept quiet. Now, if you believe that a judge is doing the wrong thing, at least lean across and tell him, brother, no need to. Nothing, silence from them. And then I exited. And then many of the seniors at the bar, to their credit, took this up as an issue that, look, how can a judge behave like that? And he had behaved like that with other lawyers in other cases, etc. He had idea of being cantankerous and difficult to deal with, and getting personal and making threats like this. Funnily, this is not the first time he had threatened me with contempt. In another land acquisition matter, a year previously, when Mr. Rothke was appearing against me, he had said the same thing to me. They decided, Mr. Sibbal, Dr. Singhvi, Mr. Rothke, Vikas Singh, many, Dushyant Dave, lots of lawyers, who then together went to that court the next morning and protested and said, this is not the way for you to behave. Yeah, and then he came up with some lines trying to be placatory, but I'm not buying any of it. All right, I feel that was anyway an episode which took place, which was unpleasant. Many times I've felt that instinctively maybe I should have said something, but like many good advisors of mine have said, you managed to keep your dignity and that of the court intact by keeping quiet and just exiting. So anyway, the consequences there. Eventually the judgment came, authored by him. Again, the other four just adding their signatures at the bottom. I think it's a wrong judgment. It's a patently wrong judgment. It was a law which was brought in to take care of poor land owners with small holdings and stuff like that. And this judgment does violence to their rights.
Okay, interesting. And of course, from this incident, another issue pops up, which is the judges and how they may be a little bit colonial in a way, and the way they behave with their court vacations and everything. It's a lot of conversation around it these days.
Yeah.
Do you think court vacations are a problem?
I think there's a very modest understanding of what judges do and what courts do, and I think it's just plain ignorance talking. I've heard somebody from the Prime Minister's Advisory Committee last week talking about apparently as far as judges and timelines and how many cases are pending, etc., and comments being made. I think there's a complete ignorance of the system, and two main things that people are perhaps unaware of or ignorant of, which is one, that the biggest litigant in our country is the government of India and the various state governments, and they challenge every single thing. If it's a pension, if it's a bail that has been granted for a cheating case, whatever it is, everything is challenged all the way up to the Supreme Court. Yes. And you keep all our judges busy all the time when there are important cases with issues that need to be decided. If the government's litigation policy, which is I think 15 years old, is implemented and forced to be implemented, you will find almost a third of those cases ceasing to exist. The second, I think, is not understanding that judges work flat out. They are the hardest working people that I know. However critical I may be of judges and their collegium decisions or individual judges and the way they behave in court, every single one of them, right, including Justice Arun Mishra, remarkably hard working people. So they get up at like 6 or 7 in the morning, they're reading briefs, they have to hear 60, 70 judges cases a day on an admission day. So they read this big files, one file is this big, so they read 70 of them, and they come almost always prepared to ask questions and to get deep into it, right? Then they go home in the evening, they hardly get time for anything, they just do this again. On the weekends, they're reading this, or they have to go and give an inauguration or give a speech on something, because those are all judicial jobs that they have to do, right? Apart from the Chief Justice having to be beleaguered, being the head of the institution, with employment, interviews, 20 other things, the faucets leaking, bathroom needs refurbishment in a huge Supreme Court structure. Now, all these people are so bogged down that when they have to write judgments, they just don't have time. So these so-called vacations that you talk of, apart from having vacation benches which are hearing cases, the judges are sitting and just working and writing judgments. Where do you think these judgments come from? Where do you think all these books come from? They come from these judges sitting there and writing And it's very careful writing. It's not the casual nonsense that is spouted on Instagram and Twitter.
Yes.
Because every word you say is law for the country. So when you write it, you have to be absolutely certain that the last 75 years of case law are not going to be contradicted by that one sentence you say. An and an or and a comma makes a difference. Now, ignoramuses are constantly critical of what judges do because they have no clue about the kind of care and attention that goes into this.
But do you think a contempt would be the right way to proceed against somebody who's raised an issue?
No,
that?
not at all, not at all.
Yeah.
Free speech and criticism is necessary.
Yes.
And it is our right, is our obligation as lawyers to defend the ignoramuses because they are ignorant. All right? Now, I strongly feel that if you have never walked in their shoes, you don't know what a judge is going through. Many of these people have given up very lucrative jobs to serve this institution. This constant belief that, acha, ye judge, he's taken this. Yes, he's got a Tony Lutyens home, right? He's got it for a small period of time and then he's out. And then again, people are not rushing up to fet him and give him bouquets and take selfies with him or her.
We are ignoring the privilege part of this.
What?
I mean, once
Yeah.
you become a judge,
Yeah.
you have many privileges, both afterwards also.
There's no
and
doubt.
while you're in the
There's no doubt.
bench
But do you
as
think
well.
they don't deserve it?
I'm not saying that. I'm just
Do you
saying
think
that,
450 members of parliament deserve it?
again, I'm not saying that. They are elected people. So,
275 or not? So I feel that this is not, I think we're going away from the topic, we're talking about privileges available
yes,
to us.
yes.
I think on this question of their work and their calendars, I think it's just ignorance about what they do. The kind of work that a Supreme Court judge does in one single day is what a US Supreme Court judge does in a year, what a
Yeah.
UK Supreme Court judge does in 10 months. It's that, all right? And if you're not able to understand that workload, then the problem is yours. And if you don't want to alleviate that workload, being a part of government, understanding that your babus and your secretaries are saying, acha, iska 300 rupees ka pension challenge karo.
That was an amazing conversation, and I hope you stay tuned for our next amazing guest. Stay tuned on our YouTube channel.